Okay, so we'll continue with Ois Beis. Continue in the Mamer Tevרכו, the fifth Mamer on the Parshas Naso in the Likutei Torah. So Beis, Ois Beis. Hine koyach ze lahamshacha zu hatluya ba'adam. Where does a person get the strength that we say that the Adam, the person, brings down the Asara Mamoris, Atov, Verachta, Es, Aleph Top. He brings down the Tzirufe Oisius, he brings it down into the world. So where does the person get the power to bring down this Hamshacha which hinges on the person? Hainu al Yidei Milchemes Ha'odam and Afshe Habahamis. That comes through the war that the person wages with his animal soul. Kehine lechem humiloshin. Lechem means bread, but we find the same letters. Lechem humiloshin oz locham shorim. That's a pasuk in where's this pasuk? Yivchar elikim charot hoshim oz lochem shorim. This is in. He says it inside here. This is a pasuk in Shoftim, Perik Hey pasuk Ches. So over there it uses the word locham. Locham shorim means the waged war by the gates over there. But the word lechem and locham is the same. Well, shepirusha hu loshem milchama. The meaning of locham is milchama. He wants to say that when you mevarer the nitzutzes, when you eat the lechem, that's the time of birur. It's the time of war. In other words, that you're sorting out, you're taking away the ra and bringing in the good. That's like a milchama because you're waging war against. So kumeshikosu shepirush losh milchama kumeshikosu bezoyer bolog daf kuf peiches omed beis. So over there it says namo al pum charbo yechal, that you eat the bread by the mouth of the sword, by the blade of the sword is eaten. So basically, that first what happens is what he's going to explain. First, you have to have war against your nefesh habahamis. Before you eat the bread, before you eat the meal, you have to daven, because the davening elevates the person to the level of ma that he has to be. And once he has done, raised himself, then he can mevarer and he can elevate all the demim tzemei chai medaber, all the demim tzemei chai that he deals with. So that's what it says in the Zohar. It says namo al pum charbo yechol, that bread you're eating by the blade of the sword. What is the blade of the sword that you eat the nama by? By now the tefillah. Tefillah davening is the time of the pum charbo. That's the davening. Why? As we say, kishas loiso shas karava. The time of davening is the time of war. You're waging war against your nefesh habahamis during the davening. U'kamesha kosuf, like the pasuk says. This is the pasuk in Tehillim. We say, you have the greatness of Hashem in your throat, which means you're davening. You're speaking about the great. And you have a sword with two blades in your hand, which means to say that you have a very powerful war during the time that is Reimem Begreno. So basically, you have to wage the war with the Nefesh HaBahamis first. And then you can go ahead and be Mevader, the Eichel, and the rest of the. You need the Reimem Begreno, the Cheres Pifis Biyodam, the time of the Dam, the time of war. And then you get the Lechem, although the Lechem comes Loshen Locha. Lachem Kesiv, Techila. And that's why first it's written in the V'hoyim Shemoya. We say, Le'avos Hashem Elikechem, to love God, your God. Ule'avdei, b'chol levavchem, and to serve Him with all your heart. So, v'acher kach v'savta digonecha. So first you have the love of Hashem to serve Hashem with davening. And then the pasuk says, "V'asavta digonecha," that you shall gather in your grains, which means first comes the avodas hatefillah, and then comes the birur, the avodas of Savta Genecha. First, you have to love Hashem. What does it mean, la'ava? La'ava means to want Hashem. Pirush ava, and the meaning of the word ava, of love here, is loshen ava, is loshen desire. The loshen ava, desire. The hainu rotzin, that means the will. And the intent is that the desire of the person and his want, and his request, with his whole heart and soul, what do you want? You want with all your heart and your soul that the revelation of godliness and Hashem's oneness should be felt in the world and in your soul. You want to feel that Hashem is in the world and in yourself. That is what you want. Just as it was before the world was created. It was just Hashem, He alone, Him. He was in this earthy, this world, this low world, openly. So before the world was creation, everything was Hashem. There was no obscurity. There was no world yet to block and obscure Hashem. As is going to be in the 7,000, after the 6,000 years of the world exists, there's going to be no more world, which means there's going to be no more blockage. Everybody will see everything is godliness. The truth of the matter is, before Hashem, it's also now so. That everything next to Hashem, kula, everything is like nothing, kamei, before Hashem. Before Hashem, there's no world. The world never blocks for Him, never happened in relative to Hashem. It says, I, Hashem, have not changed. In other words, even though there was a whole creation, Bereshit bara Elokim didn't change Hashem. It's only before us that the world blocks and obscures. So therefore, what does He want? He wants Hashem Elokecha. What does it mean, wanting Hashem Elokecha? That you should want and you should desire that Hashem, Hashem Elokecha, that Havaya, Shahu Hoya Hoive V'yiyeh B'chinas Lo Shonisi. Hashem, who is in the level, that's Havaya, as Hashem, which is Hoya Hoive V'yiyeh, which means He's Nota, He was, is, and will be, which is B'chinas Lo Shonisi, which is level Shonisi, and also V'yein Oid Milvadei. So you want that Hu Yiyeh Elokecha. Hashem should become Elokecha. What does it mean Elokecha? Elokecha means b'bchinas gilui. Elokecha means that He should be gilu mamish b'nefesh u'be'olam. So this should be open. Hashem should be Elokecha. Ahavta. This is what you want. Ava. Ahavta. You want that Hashem, who is higher than the world and the changes, should be Elokecha. Should come down and reveal mamish b'nefesh u'be'olam. It should be in the soul, in your heart, in your soul, and in the world. The world should not obscure. Just like above, everything for Hashem is like nothing, and there is nothing beside Hashem. So you want that the same thing should happen. So it should be openly below. Beli shum hester ponim vehelem mikoiches hanefesh habahamis hamastirim, without any blockage of Hashem's face, meaning Hashem's pnimis, and nothing should obscure from the koiches of the nefesh habahamis. Those are the powers of the animal soul. Hamastirim, they block. Umalimim, they obscure. Giluizeh, they don't allow for that. and they are drawn achar gashmis olam hazeh b'chumri yusay. They are drawn after the physicality of this world and its materialism. Shenira leinei basar liyesh b'davar b'vnei atzmei. That appears to be a yesh and an entity by itself. All the gashmis you can learn. So no, you don't want it to block it. Rak, you want it to be uli avdei b'chol levavchem as it continues. V'havta Hashem lakecha b'chol levavchem avdei b'chol levavchem, to serve Hashem with both the beis levavis, with both hearts, also with the Yetzer Hara. So that is what the davening is. The ladder is standing on the ground, and the head reaches up to the Shemayim. You have to start from the low. It's a step. You go up, step. You start from below. First, you say the blessing of the morning. Pekeyach Ivrim, Zekiv Kifufim opens the eyes of the blind, stands up straight those who are ben chulu. Shekol hatfilois hibichinas brachas. All the davening is blessings. What is blessings? Baruch atachulu shehein hamshoches gilui elikus be'olam v'nefesh. That is drawing down the revelation of godliness into the world, into the soul. Liyo is bechinas ato. Baruch ato. Ato should be lenoichach. Ki'ilu lenoichachulu. You, so that they want to be able to see the hamshoche of godliness into the world. Betzorich liyo is kiseder mimata lemailo. It has to be in the order from below to above. Tchila mimadreges atachtoinus. First, you start with the lower levels. Ad sheyavoy likiyum ve'ahavta. Till you come to the fulfillment, love, limser nafshi be'echad mamish, to give over your soul, mamish with echad, the liyos v'ahavta b'chol levavecha, and you should be loving Hashem, wanting b'chol levavecha. V'ayim hashekosuf mizeh b'dibra maschil yoinosi b'chag v'asol. So it's like this. Ki hinei, for behold, mitzad shoydesh nefesh halikis b'mekor chaytzva, from the perspective, the root of the godly soul in the source from where it's carved out, harihi b'tiva oila v'nichlalas b'matzila baruch. It is in its nature, naturally it goes up and it's included in the Hashem's, in his matzil that creates the neshama, who separates the neshama. So the neshama itself has a natural yearning to Hashem. Wants to say the avodah is to turn over the nefesh habahamis. The nefesh halikis by itself wants to naturally go up in the maitzilos. Neshama ain't tzricha tikun la'atzma. She doesn't require any correction for herself. Raksha mitzad koiches hanefesh habahamis hamaluboshim. But because of the powers of the animal souls, and they are dressed up in this world, Shekol Chayusam, Umitzad, their energy, their life, their vitality is from the Koiches Achiyunis Shel Hamacholim Shebenoigav. Those come from the energy powers of the food, kosher food we're talking about, but it's still in the noiga, the klipas noiga. Those are used to vitalize the person, his body, and his animal soul. So from them, so then he is tied below because of that. And you have to go ahead and bring up and to tie your soul to Hashem. This is another way, because you're in the Nefesh HaBahamis, you're with the same body, you're in the Guf, and the Nefesh HaBahamis has other interests. So you have to bring up and tie yourself to Hashem to the extent till you can turn it around, subdue it, bend it, and then turn around chulu. Ula ovdei b'chol levavchem, to serve Hashem with both hearts, bebeis levavos chulu. So that's we're trying to work with the nefesh habahamis. So therefore, lekach tzorich lahaschil mimato lemaylo b'tefillah. That's why we have to start from the bottom to the top, because it's not with the nefesh habahamis. We got to get him up. So we have to he sulam mutzav arzo. It's a ladder which is standing on the ground. But v'reisha magia shemayim, the top goes to the shemayim. Ad magia le'echod, until you get to echod. So that's the davening. You start with the birchas hashachar, and you start going up to the ladder until you come to the echod, which is shemayim. So in that ladder, as the pasuk continues, is that there's reisha magia shemayim, and Malachi Elikim Elim Yerdim Boy, they go up and down in that ladder. And that is Ba'odom. See, Malachi Elikim Elim Yerdim Boy, the simple meaning, boy, they're going up in the ladder. Elim Yerdim Boy, going in the ladder. But it says boy in him, in the person. The Malachi Elikim Elim Yerdim Boy, Ba'odom, in the person they're going up and down. Ki ha'odom hu shoyresh hakol. Because the person, Odom, is the root of everything. And therefore, it starts by the person. And once the person is in the right spot, then the whole world will be in the right. When the Odom, the Medaber, is in the right, then the Daimim Tzemei Chai will follow. The person, even with regards to Malachim. It brings the pasuk in Yecheskel, over there, when it talks about the Merkava, and the various different animals that they, it says like this, Pnei Ariel HaYomin, so there was a face of a lion to the right, Pnei Shor Mehasmel, there was a face of an ox to the left, Chulu, etc. But then in the beginning of the pasuk, it says that Udmus Pnei Pnei Odom, they all had the face of the person. So what is it? Is it an ox, a lion, or is it the face of a person? It means generally, Sheklalusa Mubchinas Odom. Generally, all the various different, the way they later on separate into Arya and Shoir, but in generality, they're Odom. He includes all the Chayas, because the person takes all the various different Gashma and elevates it, so it is the Odom. It's the Chinas, the Odom, the person is the one that is the generality. The kulam is alim is alus nefesh ha'odom. They will all be elevated when the person's soul goes up. When it cleaves to the living God to love Hashem, all the animals will follow. All the Pnei Shor and the Pnei Ari will follow. So, which means that when the person elevates himself, he brings along with him. So generally, it's Pnei Dmus Pnei and Pnei Odom, even though there's Pnei Ari. So that's why it says Malachi Lekim Elim v'Yerdim Boy, which means that who brings about that everything, the Malachi Lekim and everything in this Merkava, is all brought by the person. The person is the one that climbs the ladder, and then the Malachi Lekim and the Merkava, everything comes through the person. So first the person elevates himself. Then it's and then it said, and then you will gather the grain, which is in order to collect the energy which is in the inanimate, the growing and living. They should gather and collect them. This, that they were scattered and they were pushed under the dominance of the Noiga, the Klippas Noiga. So you want to gather them, you want to bring them into the level of Adam. So that is when you daven, that is what you do. First, you elevate yourself, and then you gather all the sparks that are in the Mitzvah Chai. But before davening, you're not allowed to eat. Why? Because the person before he davens is still tied below. How can you give musar, tell others what to elevate other sparks if you yourself are not done yet? You're before the davening. Or you're not adorned. How could you adorn, make other people beautiful before you make yourself beautiful? First, you have to adorn yourself. You have to become a mensch first. You have to become Adam. What is the meaning of Adam? Adam is bigimatria ma. Adam is 45. 45, you have to become an Adam, which is ma. Ma is bechinas bittul. You have to become bittul. So then, through this, later on, you're able to fix the demim tzemei and bring them also up. But first, you have to. So you can't eat and be mevarer the berurim osafta digonecha. It has to come after you reach the level of ave for the person. And there's another reason, because the way it works, the Yidden are considered, they come from the level of machshava, and the others come from the level of dibur, asor mamoris. So first, you have to bring it up to the level of machshava, and then you can bring it up to the level of dibur. Kinishamas Yisrael, olu b'machshava. The souls of Yidden went up in Hashem's thought. They come from the thought. Hainu, shenimshechu me'oisiyos hamachshava. They come from the letters of thought. You have letters of speech, which are much more physical already than the letters of thought. And their elevation is very high. Like the Mamer says over there on the Pasuk Katkoy. They come from the Oisis Adibur. And they come as Havaya. And therefore, Kidei Lahalis Oisis Adibur Sheyordu Lamatu B'Demech Tzmeachai, in order to elevate these letters of speech that have descended below in the Doimim Tzmeachai, and Lahaloisom L'Shorsham, and to bring them to the root, Shehu Al Yidei Ha'odom, which comes through the person Shenilkach Meises HaMachshove Shelamayla Meis Adibur. He comes from the level of letters of Machshove Tzai Adibur. So you want to elevate the Doimim Tzmeachai that come from the Eisis Adibur through the Adam who comes from the Eisis Machshove. Balkein Halo Azu Tluya. That's why this elevation hinges al yidei shemitchila yisaken atzma. First, you need to correct yourself. Mamer, like we say, kishoit atzmecha v'achakach davke kishoit achedim. He says, he was talking about a judge over there. He was telling other people what to do. So the response was, you should first tell yourself before you tell others what to do. In other words, kishoit atzmecha davke kishoit achedim. So the person, before he can adorn, before he can elevate the Doimim Tzemei, has to elevate himself. That means that first his soul, that comes from the level of machshava, you have to go back to your level, to the level of machshava. And even higher than that. Then you can in other words, you go do first your level. The Adam should get to the level of Eish Machshava. And when you get to the level of Eish Machshava, then you can elevate the level of Eish Hadibur, the Doimim Tzemei Chai. V'ayim ashekosu b'divra maschil lohiv d'avim b'Yaakov, v'parshas vayichi b'divra maschil Yisrael l'gefer. Gimel. Hinei aliyas ha'odom hu alidei atfilo b'bchinas hanal. How does the person elevate? Is it through the davening in the above level of the subjugation and elevation of wanting Avos Hashem, and that is that feeling through the Avos of Echad and the Hafta. Because when you want to be there and you have a love for the Eibishter, and you want to go to the Ava, and you want to get to the level of Echad. So when the place, the Mokim Shemagma Sa'odam, the Chefte, where you're yearning, and your desire, and that is where you are included, and your essence and who you are is collected in generally as known. Basically, if you want to be there, then you are there. So do you become. If you want the Eibishter, then you're at that level. So now he says, V'zehu inyan habrachas. And this is the idea of the brachas that we say. We started the Mamer, Kois Vorchas B'nai Yisrael. Yivarechecha Hashem. Hashem should bless you. Rashi, Pasha says, you should have a lot of money. Here it says, Yivarechecha Hashem. Hashem should bless you. You should have a lot of nitzutzes, and you should be able to do a lot of avodas habirurim. Yivarechecha Hashem hainu liyos ribuy halois nitzutzes. There should be a lot of blessings. You'll be able to bring up a lot of sparks. Those are the soul powers of the godly soul and the animal soul. And that's in the angels. And the rest is this. Every morning they are renewed. And they are elevated every day above. Through his arousal from below, through his davening, he brings up every day that he davens, he brings down all these sparks and all the different energies, which is in all the person, Malachim, Mashkim, all the things. So the bracha is that it should be beribu v'goydel. Should be a lot. And the big and powerful connecting of great powerful love in Krishma and Davening. That's the Eibishter's blessing, that Yavarech Hashem, that you should be able to connect in a special way. It says, what do you see a bracha? By way of example, you see it's on the seed that grows from the ground. Because basically he's saying, we're giving the person a bracha because the person really has in his neshama that seed, that spark, that the bracha could help him to connect in a way. But you have to sort of like make it grow, just like a seed that is in the ground. You have to get it outside. You have to make it grow. So the person should be able to grow in that level. So what do we see by the seed that grows from the field? That the seed is sown in the ground. It's hidden and it's covered with earth. With earth. What does it mean through the blessing? Success. What is it successful? When he succeeded and there is our fruit, then it grows up, comes up, it grows from the ground with a additional, which is a lot more than the main. You put in a small amount of seed and then you get a whole lot. Likewise, it's written by Yidden. There also says the lashon that Hashem has sown us. It says V'zarati es Beis Yisrael, or it says Uzrati ali ba'or. It's different psukim that they talk about sowing of the Yidden. She Yisrael heim bebechinas zriya. The Yidden are on the level of sowing. The hainu zriyas bechinas elakus. You sow levels of godliness. And it sprouts. Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael Chulu. So over there it says also you're drawing down Hashem Elokei Yisrael. That's when you sow, you bring down Elokus. So you draw down Elokei Yisrael. So the Yidden, the souls, they have been drawn down into this physical world. And they're covered, and they're dressed up in the animal soul, and to the powers that desire physical matters. And just like this sowing, which is hidden and covered in with sand, in order for it to go up, and it should grow with additional, and also add the many powers of the vitalizing soul. They should also be elevated and included in Echad. That's the goal. The goal is to get them as well, also to get the Nefesh Abahamis and the Koiches, Mamer Azal, as they say, and they should be included in Echad, in Kriya Shema, when the soul, the Nefesh Alikis, they should go up with them. Mamer Azal, as our sage of blessed memory say, Legolu Yisrael, Elokideshi Yitoiswa Leim Gedim Chulu. The reason we're in exile so that we get more converts, which means to get the sparks. That's why Shem sent down the Nefesh Abahamis into Golus, into the Nefesh Lakis, into the Nefesh Abahamis, in order to elevate it. So, and that is why also Likimas Adam Ba'oretz. That's why Hashem made the Adam in the earth, the Kab Elachayis Minadvarim Agashmi, so that he will receive his energy from the physical matters. In order so that all of the powers of the inanimate growing and living, the energy in them, so they vitalize the soul of every living thing, and the spirit of all flesh, so they are included. They got in the energy of the soul that goes up in the Krishma and Davni. So the person serves as the medium through which everything gets elevated to the highest level. That's you have to daven every day. Daven every day to elevate everything. And the bracha, we're saying, Yivarechecha Hashem, means that Hashem should bless you, that you should have success in your davening, in your elevation, and your avodah, so then you can do what's necessary to bring up the whole world, everything that hinges on the person. However, sometimes a person can feel a satisfaction from good gedavenheit. They davened well. That's why you need to be yishmerecha. You gotta yivarecha Hashem, v'yishmerecha. Dina brocha alzu shem yisurusa diltata nemar. And this bracha, which comes from the person's arousal from below, he says Hashem will protect you. Shehid tzricha shimur, that requires to be guarded min hamazikim, from those who damagers, hemachitzoinim, those with the outers, the sitra achra, and the other side, shelo yelam yenika ma'avazu. They should not have a nurturing. They shouldn't get. In other words, they can also, unfortunately, you use that excitement of davening from that Abba, they'll get a nurture. The Hainu. How is this? Once this great love is aroused by the soul of man, he should not become excited by himself. He's going to feel very good. He's going to give himself a lot of credit. He's machzik toiva. Or he can brag or some greatness from it, or or you could have maybe some other kind of ulterior motive will come from that good davening. Because who can come up to the mountain of Hashem is Niki Chapayim, is clean hands, ubar levov, and a pure heart. What does it mean? Pirush bar levov, shu bli taruvis, lishum taruvis zorchad v'sholem. That comes without any mixture of anything strange, God forbid, just pure of heart. So you need a daven. Okay, so it says in Bezoyer Niskar, this is sort of the sources for what he said here. Pirush Yivrech Hashem Yishmerecho, so Parshas Vayechi, and Daf Reish Memches Soif Amud Aleph, the Soif Parshas Naso, Daf Kuf Mem Zayin Amud Aleph, Ubrayim Mehemna Parshas Pinchas, Daf Reish Memches Aleph, the Parshas Ekev, Daf Reish Ayin Aleph, Soif Amud Beis, Ubrabes Boy Perik Tezvo, B'chukoisai Perik Lamed Bo. Okay, so that explains Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. So that your work is Yivarechecha, and Hashem has to protect you that shouldn't come any nikador. But then we have Yoir Hashem. That's already the Serusa de Le'ela. If you turn to Hashem and you elevate, then you get Melmailo Lamata. Through this arousal from below comes the Serusa de Le'ela, is the arousal from above. Ukamei Shekosuf, as the Pasuk says, Im Yosif Elov Liboy, if you turn your sword to Hashem Chulu, so the pasuk over there says, Ruach and Nishmose Elov Yasif, so then the Eibishter will gather you in. So basically, if you turn to Hashem, the Hashem turns to you. Ruach Aisi Ruach V'amshich Ruach. The spirit of the person brings the spirit and it draws down the spirit. Li yois yoir Hashem ponove lecha, that Hashem son, that is Mumayla Lamata. Which means, just like he wants and yearns and asks, that there should be a revelation of the blessed life Ein Sof, and the level of an Mubade. It should be Lamata Kamei Lamailo. So we also want so that it should be brought down from below. Hamshochas Haores Giluize Asheru Mevakish, that it should be drawn down, a shine of this revelation that he's asking. That's what you're asking for, you're going to get it. Bezo Yoir Hashem Ponov. He's giving the Ponov, the face, which is Chinas Haores Ponim, that is the level of Ponim. Chinas Chochma. Yerusham Ponim, and you'll get the level of Chochma. What's the connection Ponim to Chochma? The Pasuk says Chochma Sodom Torah Ponov. And he also quotes from the Zohar, Zohar Niskar Pirush Yoir Ponov in Naso Kuf Lamed Gimel Beis Kuf Malaf Aleph Kuf Zayin. I'll give you the references. The Hainu Liyos Gilui Koyach Ma Ve'inoid Mevadei Chulu, so that it should be revealed the power of Ma and Ein Mevadei by the Yoir Hashem Ponov. Zehu Chochom. So you should be getting the level of Chochmah in which you can see the Noilad, you can see the Yesh Me'ayin. That's, you're going to actually get that. You're going to see how everything is created from nothing. Everything is like nothing. Because through the arousal below, you start with Shema Yisrael. Over there is Shema. It's only the level of Shemiah. What the Eibishter gives you is Yoir Hashem Ponov, you get the level of Re'iyah, you get the level of Chochmah. Shema Loshen Havona Ideis Bernes Chulu. So through meditation, understanding, that's how you get your Isarusa Dilatata. But we know that seeing, hearing is not the same as seeing. That's when the level of Ma that comes from above, that's not much greater than the Shemiah. This revelation is in Torah. That revelation of the level of Ma, because Torah comes from Chochmah. This is Hashem's wisdom of above. But it's dressed up physically below. That's the level of mayim. It's the same water, but it comes from a high place to a low place. But that's the revelation. In Torah, we get from the level of Chokhmah, which is the Yoir Hashem Panav Elach. Also because we call it Mayim, because this is, they go, the same Mayim, they go Mokum Gavoy Mokum Namach. That's why the pasuk continues over there. I will give you the rain of your land. And also, like the pasuk says, like the rain and the snow from the sky. So would be the word that come from my mouth, says Hashem. So basically, Shal Yidei, what does it mean? Shal Yidei b'chinas motor zeh, through this motor, Zater Artzchem, is Vasavta de Gonecho, then you're going to gather the grain, Lias Mishkon, Umochen Lishifta Yizbarach. You're going to become a resting place, a dwelling place for Hashem to be, Ligilu, which means Ligilu Oir Ein Sof Baruch Haba Milmailo, to the revelation of the Ein Sof, which comes from above, that whole Yeda, that Gesher, Nashalik, and you become Liyes Echad Be'echad, to unite one and one, to be able, the level of your Echad, Surusa de Latata with the Surusa de Leila from above. V'zeu v'chuneko, Yor Hashem Ponav Elecha, v'chuneko. Chuneko means both, Loshen Chen, grace you, but also V'loshen Chaniya, he will camp there. He will sit there. V'yichan Shom Yisrael, camp there. U'kamoy Chona David camp. Liyez b'bchinas v'shchanti b'soichom. So Hashem will be in a way of resting there, which is Dira b'tachtoinim. That's a dwelling place below, which Dira means Diras v'ashros oisin sabarchu mamesh. B'chinas gilu lamatikum elamal. That's to be a dwelling place and having the oisin sabarchu rest in a revealed ways, just like above. V'zeu inyan Birchas Hamazon. This is the idea of Birchas Hamazon, which is Hamshochas Gilui Elikus Milmailo. What are we benching? So we're drawing down Elikus Al Koiches V'Chayish and Eschadesh Ba'odam HaMaychel. A person got new energy, new power from the food. So you got new power from the food, you have to bring down godliness. V'heim Gimel brachas deraisa v'reviz derabbanan. We have total of 4 brachas, 3 min HaTorah, the first 3 bracha, and the last bracha HaTorah Meitiv is midrabbanan, which is Dalet Pamim Baruch Ato, 4 times Baruch Ato. Liyes nimshach b'chinas gilui b'nefesh ba'olam kilu l'neichach. We're bringing it down. We're saying Baruch Ato again. So we're saying 4 times Baruch Ato, so that we should draw down that revelation in the soul and the person as if it's Hato. Shalidei zen is barer, benifrat. Through this, it's sorted out and it's separated. First, it was under the dominance of the Noiga. And it's included in Gedusha, Liyos, B'chinas Kli, U'mochen, U'mishkan, should be a vessel, should be a dwelling place, a resting place, La'ashros Gilui Niso Baruch Hu Mamash, to the resting of Hashem Mamash. Okay, so that's then we'll continue now with the third pasuk and the third bracha next time, Be'ez Hashem.